few minutes.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I am Paula Bremheger, and I'm the library director for all of our Cincinnati and Hamilton County libraries. I know you all know Carrie Bernard. She's gotten praise already tonight. We have a great staff here at our Miami Township branch. But Carrie has let me have some of her time tonight because I'm here to talk about everything that's going on with the library. Hopefully many of you use our library here, Miami Township. We also have one up the hill in Green Township. I was just there earlier today. So we have a lot of libraries across the county, and we have been out the last, since 2009. We've been asking for local funding at various levies at various points in the last couple decades. So since we do ask all of you for your taxpayer dollars, I take it quite seriously. I'd like to come out, give people an update about what's going on. Just to give you a little bit of background, you may know or you may not quite realize, we have a really large library system here. We have 41 branches and a distribution center in Queensgate. So we have our big main library, 40 branches, and then if you ever order books or materials that are sent out from other places to Miami Township, they all go to this big distribution center we have in Queensgate. They're sorted, then they come out to you. So we have about 1 million square feet of public space. We, on average, if you looked at how long one of our branches has been since it had been built or renovated, it's about 43 years in 2018. So most of our infrastructure was fairly old, and some of our trustees here may know, remember in the 2000s when the local government fund in Ohio changed drastically and the way we got our money changed, and the library also had a reduction during the Great Recession. So that's about when we came out and started to ask the local community for a 1 mil levy in 2009. That was our first local levy. We continue to get about half of our money from the state and half of it locally. We have renewed that levy a couple of times, and you may know in 2018 we went out and asked the residents in Hamilton County, including all of you, of course, about an additional levy, and that levy is really dedicated to infrastructure for our library. So what I gave all of you is a little bit of a pull-out from our facility master plan. We have so many facilities, they needed so much repair. We actually had 3 that were not handicap accessible at all, so if you could not do steps, you could not get in those libraries. They were more than 100 years old, and they had never allowed people who couldn't walk up the steps into them. So we had some real need. We worked with a firm to get a plan for 10 years, and it included looking at the whole county and trying to kind of carve it up into planning zones. You're all in the West Planning Zone, and that's what you see in front of you. For anybody in the audience or any trustees who want to take a look at a little refresher, that entire plan is on the library's webpage. It's 3 volumes because we got a lot going on, but the first volume is kind of a summary, and the second volume is what you see there. It's a blow by blow of each of our facilities and what they need and possible recommendations. The third volume from 2019 was the budget, but I can tell you the pandemic and inflation and everything else has kind of altered all of that. So we're doing our best to stay on top of that and adjust as we can. We have had several projects going on across the county. Over here on the west side, we have not been as visible because first of all, the planning zone in the west is the only zone that is a little bit undersized for the population. You don't have quite enough library space, ideally, and I think that has to do with this is the part of the county that grew a little bit later, and some of those other facilities we have are very old. So we know that there are opportunities perhaps out here at some point to grow and increase a few of the facilities' sizes. We're aware of that. But as I said, many of the projects we have done have been to refurbish and rehab very old facilities. Closest one is probably Price Hill. I don't know if you've ever been to the Price Hill Library. It's an old library. The ceiling caved in. We had to renovate that. We did expand it. So we have been around the county. We redid the Walnut Hills branch, 1906 building, the first one in the library system. We renovated, expanded that. Madisonville, which might be relevant for all of you because it was a real little library. We could not get any land nearby it. Nobody would sell us the land, and if you're in public space, you know that once people know the library is looking for land, suddenly the price is Yeah, a little bit different because they know we would never just pick up and move a library. It's very disruptive to a community if you move the library at all. Much more than a half a mile can be really troubling. So we had, in that instance, we have moved across the street to a new development. It's about an 8,000 square foot. We're leasing it from the people who developed it there because we didn't have any option. So here you have a library that carried, again, they do a great job with what they have. It is one of our smallest. It's 2,500 square feet, which is just small. We really appreciate what we have and being close to the senior center. Sounds like that relationship is beneficial, but we often look for options to perhaps make it closer to what that Madisonville size is, like 5,000 to 8,000 square feet if we could. So we've moved along our facilities master plan because nothing has really come together in Miami Township. Again, when we look at trying to move the library or not, we came out and talked to people here in the community in 2019. We know that it is kind of located city center for all of you, and so we are just working with what we can as opportunities come along. We've had a couple of other opportunities come up at other places, so we have moved in those, but Miami Township remains on the list as one that we would like to perhaps be able to move forward with at some point with an expansion or a move that's nearby. But there are many qualifications that we look for in the site, including can you find it, how easy it is, parking, oh my gosh, parking. We just redid the Deer Park Library up in the Dillonvale Shopping Center, was in this little tiny 5,000 square foot storefront. I talked to the community, someone came up to me and said, Paula, the TJ Maxx moved out down the way, maybe you want to move into the TJ Maxx. Well, 3 years later, we opened that up and it's 25,000 square feet, it's got nothing but parking. So it's a great reuse of malls, tired retail. They call us and they say, you want to move a library in here? So there are many options. I could go on, but it sounds like the crowd is kind of, there's only so much time. That's clear. So I don't want to take
The library gal's beating up on me. Come on. I didn't take long.
I don't want to take up too much time. I know that's a quick overview, and again, I know that all of you know Carrie, and she does such a good job of representing our library system in your community. But because we don't come out here that much, I don't come out that much, I always find it important to make sure you know what is happening with your levy dollars. And my dad is a retired firefighter, City of Cincinnati 25 years, so I take tax-funded services very seriously. And you may not always agree with everything I do, but what I do want you to not be is surprised about what the library's doing. So I wanted to come and I thank the trustees both for your time tonight, and Carrie and I have been at several meetings in the area talking to trustees. I've been out further west in the Harrison area up in Green Township, and I have to say, trustees and folks that do civil service, you guys are like the hardest working people in show business. You do all of this, you come to these meetings, they last, and you really, I do want to issue a thank you for your civic duty. I appreciate that very much. So I'm happy to entertain questions.
Some of us remember when the library used to be in the town hall down in Cleveland.
Oh my gosh.
And that's all you had, just that one room.
Wow.
It was a lot smaller than what you got now.
Oh my God. Well, because the one we have now is from the early 80s, so that must have
It was
been
a long time.
a little bit ago. Yeah, I've been with the library 30-something years, and that predates me, so that's, yeah. So relative to that, Carrie's got the Taj Mahal down there, but we do want to look at other options.
We tried.
I know we did.
We tried when we started to do the pool complex.
I know it.
You guys are gonna go in down there.
With the Y, but
Yeah.
the pandemic sort of, but that's the kind of opportunity we're open to trying different things, and that's why I brought up the Dillonvale Shopping Mall and the Madisonville. We can't always get the land we want. Madisonville, there's a fire department right next to the library, and some of the folks kept asking me, why don't you just buy the fire department? I said, well, it doesn't quite work like that. So people really, really want us to do different things, but we have to wait for the opportunities to move when they can. So we got you on the list. They'll continue to be on the list. In the meantime, you got a great librarian and staff there in Miami Township. And I do appreciate you. Yes, sir.
Do you do anything with Three Rivers Schools down there?
Well, we do. Carrie is very active with that, and as trustees were
Because
saying.
they got a pretty decent library down there.
Yeah, they have a great library. I visited there. It's really nice.
We have a
and-
great cooperative relationship
Yes.
with them.
Yes.
Marty Murphy and I go way back, way back. So it's been a great relationship. Yep, we're highly involved.
And you have the great fortune of having a really quality school there with a library. Throughout the county and the city, not all schools have that kind of a
Yeah.
library resource, so we do have an outreach department that delivers more than 500 collections of books to kids across the county every month. Because, you know, we certainly work and Carrie's teachers are able to do that, but we also do our best to bring those kind of services to people who can't always come to the library. So we have a very active relationship with schools across the county,
Yeah.
absolutely.
How has electronic media affected the library?
Oh, and it has. During the pandemic, people really took off. I think all the folks who got like the e-reader from their grandkids and had it in a box someplace, they're like, I better get that thing out. So what we have seen so far is the electronic media ebooks, that has continued to go up. But it's a little like radio and TV. People seem to be doing both that and print material. What we have been working on is trying to bring people back into the library. So our circulation, which is how many books and stuff people check out, that has returned to about, you know, close to what it was in the pre-pandemic. The visits are still at like 70%. So we continue to try and remind people that we're still here, bring them in, do exciting things. Wi-Fi sessions at the library and computer access, boy, that is very much in demand, which is
Yes.
why when I say Miami Township doesn't have quite as much space. Up at Green Township, if you've been there, they have like 3 study rooms, and you can reserve them for 2 hours and kind of work in your own area or do tutoring. Before I came here, I had a couple meetings that I wanted to make sure I was here on time, so I went to Green Township and I sat in one of their study rooms for 2 hours. And I did my virtual meetings and then I drove down here. Those kind of space resources, I think there's a new market for that we want to be able to be available in Madisonville, even though it's only 8,000 square feet. It's gonna have 2 community rooms and 3 study pods. So I really think that your schools, kids come down after school and they sit in those rooms, they do homework or they do things. Groesbeck has some of these small study rooms, so that's the kind of thing that I think would really bring value if we could find some place to do it. So electronic media is there. What has kind of dropped off is videos. It used to be so popular, but now a lot of people do streaming service. So we're finding use in other ways, absolutely. It's a good question.
Well, thanks for coming out.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, Carrie is a great cheerleader and ambassador for your brand, and she does a great job with events down there, but appreciate your time.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
thank
we
you.
wanna
Jeff.
keep her